Daddy, eye contact full on. Real light.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you
Today,
have... Yes.
today
We have any guests
have
today?
Oh, our guest is not here yet. Could you
I'll check.
we have a guest who is coming in, but could you ask our guest to click the link again?
Okay.
While you ask, I will give an overview. Today, our topic is on empathy. And empathy is, okay, before that, I admit Leslie. We have Leslie with us today. Hello, Leslie.
Hello.
Hi, Leslie.
Hello.
Sorry to make you wait. We had some technical glitches here.
Can you make your phone horizontal, please?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Good
Thank
morning.
you.
Good morning. Happy to see you today.
How are you?
I feel amazing. Thank you. Sorry, it's like my fault too.
It's okay.
No worries. Sometimes there's technical glitches, so it might let you wait a little. So today we are going to talk about empathy. Yeah.
Yes.
And why did we choose this topic, Eddie?
Oh, that's a very good question. This topic could be one of the most important ones in our in our podcast so far, because empathy for me is a multi-visionaire, how to say, multi-visionaire intelligence. Because through empathy, we're able to see ourselves and see others and the environment around us as we interact. What is the importance? Because we could be in a meditation as we talk to people. The fact that we're seeing and observing ourselves, as we're observing and listening to others, at the same time seeing ourselves being reflected out, there's no such preciousness in this kind of, is a priceless connection between beings. So that's why I find it very amazing and so important, because we talk about we talked about awakening and all that, but how to stay awakened, how to stay aware. One thing I learned in A Course in Miracles is that the way we see people, the way we interact with people, is the way that will send us back home. And that home for me is the same home that Rumi, the poet, refers to. The home within, the home as a whole, as a universe, as everything, as creation. So today's topic, empathy, is very important because it's not a technique. I want to start with that. And it's not sympathy, it's very different. So yeah, that's my take on empathy. So what about you, Leslie? What comes alive in you when you hear that word empathy?
I totally agree with you when you said that totally is like giving tireless connection, because with the empathy, you can have like closer connection, so the other people trust you, they feel that you understand their feeling, and they like the relationship become healthier, and they feel safe to share whatever their misery or what they've been through to you. I think it's a different from sympathy. Sympathy is like you look from the other person perspective, not the person who feel. So if you have empathy, you have ability to go to the other person, think like them, feel like them, and put yourself in their shoes. So it's very compassionate and kind to do that.
You mentioned the word safe. Usually when we talk about safety, there's something involved. When we talk about safety, usually because of some risk, maybe some danger. So when you talk
Judgment.
about, yeah, so when you talk about safe, I understand that there is a kind of vulnerability when it comes to empathy. Dr. Julia, when we talk about safety and vulnerability, what kind of situation or environment are we referring us to?
I don't know what two of you might think, but I think every interaction is an opportunity to take a risk.
Okay. Okay, we're talking about safety and risk here, which is quite interesting. So
Yeah, why
could-
are you talking about safety and risk?
could we share about some risks while interacting with people? Like, what are the risks? Because we're talking about empathy here, we're not running away from that topic, but when we are talking about risks, because Leslie first mentioned about safe, then what would be the risks? Let's hear that.
Well, when I say that every life situation involves some level of risk, because we're stepping into the unknown. In interaction, we are bringing ourselves into a situation. So the risk that's involved is in how I will be received, and how what I'm going to say or whatever I'm going to bring into the space, into the other person's space. Will it be welcome? Will I be welcome? Will the other person like me will be able to receive me, receive what I have to say, what I have to request? So when we step into each other's spaces, there are all these different concerns. And I don't know, as you guys as human beings, but as human beings, there's a vulnerability to me in terms of how we are accepted into a tribe, accepted by another person, because there's always kind of like a concern that whether I will be accepted or not. Okay, I'm talking about a very basic level of being. But yeah, thanks for opening up the perspective on risk. But before we go on more on risk, I just want to acknowledge what Leslie talked about. You make a distinction between sympathy and empathy. Yeah, we will. That is a great place to start, because many people confuse sympathy with empathy. In sympathy, it's almost like you have to put yourself on a higher place before you feel, right? So it comes from a place almost like condescending. But in empathy, it's more like you are trying to search within yourself for how you might feel in a similar situation, and you try to see it from the other person's point of view through finding in ourselves similar feelings and sentiments, even though we will never like meet the other person 100% because we are not the other person. But we try to find in the human experience what is connecting, right? The whole idea is connection. So I make a little detour to acknowledge Leslie, but let's get back to your question on risk. Eddie, tell us a little bit more about why you reify, why you heighten that point to look at.
Over the years, something changed in me, and I found that the quality of interaction with people and the ability to connect to feelings, emotions, requires a great level of vulnerability. We have to be able to step forth bravely to open our hearts. When we talk about heart, we're talking about the life-giving or life-supporting organ in our bodies, right? So when we open our hearts, we have to be vulnerable. We have to take that risk. And what are the risks? We could be judged or hurt. Sorry, I didn't want to use the word judged. We could feel hurt when we share our feelings and that person make a comment about it. Maybe that comment, the way we interpret that comment could maybe generate and project pain on us. Or maybe we could feel angry. We could feel so many things. So to be vulnerable is to be stepping forth fully with our hearts open and ready for anything that will come as a response. It's not an easy thing. And in Thailand, we have a word called noi jai. It's almost like the unpleasant feeling of overly sensitive when somebody tells us something that maybe it's not very pleasant to hear. So what happens is that we hardly open our hearts when we interact with people. Because why? Why would we open our hearts and be vulnerable all the time if we are in the risk of getting hurt, right? Why would we want to do that? But there is something amazing that can happen if we do open our hearts, if we step forth in vulnerability towards someone. And going back to what Leslie said about sympathy, why we hear things like, oh, I sympathize you, or do you sympathize me, or are you pitying me, and things like that. Those are terms where it comes from a level of, okay, I have mercy on you, or I consider your situation. It does not drive one person to the shoe of the other. It's almost like, I understand what you are going through, but it doesn't mean that I feel you. I can see you and feel what you're going through. I see what you're feeling, and I feel pain too, or I celebrate with you. So for me, the difference between sympathy and empathy is that is the ability to share the same space, even if that means to feel angry together, happy together, or hurt together, or celebrate together. That's the space of vulnerability to both sides and also connection. That's the difference between empathy and sympathy to me. So would you girls share anything regarding this? Have you ever been through a situation like that?
Leslie, you go first.
Yes. I think sympathy and empathy both are good, but you have to balance it. So I believe that I agree with Eddie to say that if you have empathy, you share the same space with them, you feel them. The definition that Dr. Lim said is perfect. So you are trying your best to be in the position of that person, to feel them, to understand how they've been through. Even you don't have that experience, but you put yourself in their position and feel it. So, but sometimes someone only want someone to listen to them and feel their feeling, and how you say it? sharing their pain, something like that. But in the other hand, if you would like to give the good suggestion, or you have ability to go out of that person and see the whole situation, you need sympathy, because if that person is too sad, too miserable, if you feel that space, later maybe you have to go out and have sympathy to look at the situation in order to give them the best solution. So I think it's about balancing between empathy and sympathy. If you can see the situation without emotional, you can see it more clear, and then later on you can present or come up with the, I say, promising solution or the best solution in that situation. That's my opinion about it.
Interesting. Dr. Lim?
Yeah. Actually, I woke up to a very dear friend sharing something on his timeline. Philip shared this video on this very old lady, like 70 over or 80 over years old, and she was talking about something about her cancer. She got stage 4 cancer, and then she went on to say, am I sorry for myself? She said, no. She said that, why should I respond like that? She says that, it is part of nature and life, our interaction with the present and what life has to offer, that she flowed with. And she took death, that process of death, as a process of nature. Why am I talking about this? Because she went on to talk about really how we encounter life, be it in like events happening or people or things or everything. She said that it's natural for this interaction to take place. And this interaction in quantum physics, in quantum physics, when we observe, sometimes things that are being observed, they behave in a certain way, like a particle can turn into a wave and so on. But the thing is, when you don't observe it, it behaves in different ways, right? The particle turns into something else, for example. So our observation and our interaction apparently give birth to something else, and she said this, which, okay, she said that it's really in that interaction that all of life is, and it's in that interaction and all that connection that things are being created, and connection is being created. And so when we are talking about empathy, it's very pertinent to that, because empathy is a process not only for human connection. It is the basis of, and connection is the basis of where life is experienced and tasted and everything begins. So she says, in that interaction, when we engage, then things start to happen. And when we are able to see that engagement, there's so much gratitude, there's so much creation that's happening. Like this very moment, if we are not in this interaction and connection, we're not giving birth to something else. So therefore, the essence to me of that connection is really that empathy. it's not about seeing something and sympathizing like you're very, very apart. It is that joining, and in that meeting and that joining where that true experience is being amplified, that is growing, that's expanding.
Wow, Dr. Julia, that's so inspiring, really.
You can
I do
spare the
see,
doctor, okay? Mm,
I do see empathy that way too, the connection.
mm.
It's about creation, really. It's about expansion and creation and universes bonding and melting together. You know, I, I didn't want to talk that way because sometimes it might sound a bit like
Abstract. Mm.
abstract or surreal, but really, 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 like empathy for me is like that really that connection and how things blend in and create new realities and new events. You know, really, when I truly connect to someone, I feel so excited because I don't know what's gonna be the outcome. You know, and yeah, like well, Leslie talk about sympathy. Okay, it makes sense, right? We're able to advise or give solution. In my experience, we're all in different moments and different situations, different events, different perspectives. Yeah, different everything. And when connection occurs and we are able to share and and blend realities and worlds, it's so amazing, you know. And that for me has no solution or advice anymore because it's not an objective thing anymore,
Mm.
but it's more like something sublime, you know, all dimensions, all spaces, they just like a new Big Bang all the time and every time we connect, you know.
New
So,
Big Bang. Yeah.
yeah, it's so amazing, really.
I even want to take the risk to, I'm going to take the risk to even say that, therefore, empathy and that connection is, remember, I don't know whether it's in one of our conversations here or with Taraka or with somebody else, but we said, I said that everything is, therefore, this connection is the basis of all Tantra. It's all sex, all interaction, all intercourse happens in this moment, in a sense that only creation and something is born, something is created, like a birth, like a universe, is in that connection. Yeah.
Interesting because when it comes to connection, there is this level of vulnerability and braveness and risks, safety, all of that. So we're seeing all this flow of energy, which some people call it divine, sacred feminine with the masculine and all that. And this energy, male, female, whatever polarity we label, is so great that it generates life, it generates realities. And you know, it's something so accessible, but in everyday life, we meet so many people every day, but how much creation is it happening, you know?
And
Isn't it?
yeah, and I must say this before I give the space to Leslie. I'm so sorry because it's too
Okay.
exciting in a sense that,
Yeah.
you know, it is in exactly that polarity. Let's say now we have three peoples here. It's exactly in this that we mirror to us our multiple universes, different perspectives. I love that you are unique. I love that you're unique, and you bring to the table different ways of seeing. And not when I look at you, not only do I see you, I also see how you perceive me, and I also see how I perceive you perceiving me. So this multivariate kind of mirroring enriches and make very rich this creation. Actually, it never, so the usefulness of polarity. The usefulness of polarity is this: we split. Why did we separate? We separate so that we can come and join. And this movement towards joining is where the recognition of how divine we are. And even within ourselves, the polarity of being a human being within, to be able to see that we have this human character, and yet we have multiple characters within us, and we have also the divine perspective within us, which is not which is always changing, expanding, growing, and in a kaleidoscopic way, even within ourselves as a universe of that interaction. And even within ourselves, that process of empathy and that connection is constantly happening. Yeah.
Leslie?
I don't know what to say. Please continue.
I want to talk about some of the
Okay.
feelings that are triggered, some of the feelings that arise when we see ourselves connected in an interaction. And I must say, like, at least in my experience, I feel so much this indescribable sense of compassion and gratitude and love and all of that. And
That compassion is like a connectedness, right?
yes. And then it makes me wonder about Jesus, for example. And everybody that followed Jesus, there was something common among all of them. They all went through difficult situations. They were sick, they were poor, maybe they had pain and everything. But they come forth already admitted, like, I'm in pain, for example. And how could connection not take place if they come forth with hearts open, already saying, I'm feeling this way? You know what I mean? And how could compassion not take place? You know, you see,
Yeah.
at this moment, there's no strategic anything or greed or anything. It's just stepping forth with, like, I don't know, examples like, please save my son, or, you know, I'm feeling pain like this, or I cannot see since I was born. I'd like to see the sunrise and sunset, for example, you know. It's so beautiful, you know, and ability to connect immediately to that. So this is something I see in common among them. Okay, I don't know if everybody knows about Jesus, but this is one of the references I have. And when it comes to my experience, is that when people are not overly defensive, when people just, like, if I ask, how are you today? And the person says, oh, today I'm sad. And I'm thinking, okay, would you like to share? Yeah, how you feel about sharing this with me? Maybe the person would say and talk a little bit what was alive, what bring to that sentence. And then I connect to that sentence. But do I get a loss by feeling sad at that moment? Like, am I hurting myself connecting to that feeling of sadness? Absolutely not. Because the remaining, what comes after this sense of compassion and love and this yeah, this world that's created after that is priceless, really. I want to ask Leslie if you have any experience you would like to share with us regarding this connection.
One incident recently happened to me. One of the work colleague, my staff, she just passed away suddenly. She was at the hospital, like she had been hospitalized for only 3 days, and before that, she was very healthy person. She never take sick leave or something like that. Then during the funeral, I have a chance to ask the other staff why she's like died so easily like this without telling us anything about her sickness or something like that. And then my staff said to me that she never shared anything to anyone easily. Like she have a tumor in her tummy, and she was planning many months ago to go to the hospital to get the operation, but then later she's like didn't go there. So I didn't know this at all, and she is very good employee and she works so well. And then I was thinking that if I have more empathy, I talk to them more, I connect with them more, and there's some communication, so she will feel safe to share to me about her illness. If I know about like her illness or she need to have operation, maybe I can do something with that, and she would have died like this, something like that. So it's the same way, like when our staff or our employee, they did something wrong, right? Maybe they make some mistake during the workplace, or they have some difficult time at work, they have bad performance, something like that. Instead of blaming them or giving them a really like complaint or punishment, we should talk to them and we make a search what happened to them. Maybe they have a family issue, they have something in their mind. So we have empathy for that and resolve with that. I was watching the YouTube this morning. It's about a man. He was at one hotel in the US, and he asked the employee at the hotel who give him very best service, why you offer him, like treat him so good, giving him a very good service. He said that this workplace, the manager of the hotel, he really care about all the employee. He's like always checking on employee, how they feel, how they work, what can he support, different from the other workplace that he used to work. So I was thinking that like empathy is very important in all area of life. If you can put yourself in other shoes and feel like them and know that they have some necessity and something that they have been through, I think it will make a world more beautiful place. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Leslie. I want to ask you, how are you?
I a little bit sad, but I'm okay. Thank you. So you said to me on the other day that the person who the abundance that we have is the person around us, the thing that we have, the people around us. So we should give them time, and when we are with anyone we interact with, we really be there for them and be with the person who out here. So we can notice like a slight non-verbal communication from them, something that they give us, like their energy or anything, we can sense it. Even the smallest thing is also the communication between me and other person. So I think today, like from now on, I will treasure more of people around me.
So am I hearing from you that your sadness To me, you're sad, right? A little bit sad. You would like to appreciate more the time with the people around you, and maybe with the loss of your employee.
Yes.
And you see, like, if you said you could have connected to her more and maybe spend more quality time with her. Is that
Yes. I didn't have that chance anymore because she already departed. But what I do is that I hug and bless her mother. She's very sad, and usually when we hug people, we usually tap them. But I was taught that we shouldn't tap them, because when we tap them on the back, it's like we making them stop crying, stop hugging, something like that. Like so I just hugged her and feel her, and then feel her pain and be with her without talking anything. Let her talk, and I was there to listen to her without giving any suggestion, without giving any comment or things. Just be there with her during her grief, something like that.
I feel so grateful for what you said, and yeah, sometimes we think the people we love will always be there, right?
Yes.
Sometimes we may take that for granted and not connect as much, maybe.
Yes. I think living at the present moment is very important. You can connect people, you can step into the unknown, and you can generate many things. So if we stay at present and we did really be in the moment without thinking about the past or the present, we actually live the moment. And it's like beautiful thing that we could ever done.
Oh, thank you so much. So
My pleasure.
are you saying that we can only connect to people in the present moment?
Yes.
Without projecting future or back to the
Expectation.
past? Oh,
Yes.
this is so incredible.
It's amazing.
Yes, Dr. Lim, how do we see the relation between being present and connection with people? How does that work? Do you know?
I wanted to talk about the nature of connections and people coming together, because I deal a lot with people, with couples and young people also. I have is she 14? She's 15. She's 15. Okay, I have a 15-year-old girl, and she often tells me, she'll say, Mom, she says, why is it that, it's like, it's kind of weird. Is it that we are teenagers, we are going through a very emo period now, but why is like everybody around me saying that their parents really don't get them, and then not only don't get them, it seems to be very dysfunctional. It's like full of expectations. There's so much displeasure all around at home about how you should be. You're not doing well enough, you're not living up to my expectations. And and there's so much pain in the young people around her. She says a couple of them maybe feeling depression, or she says she's seeing things like anorexia, bulimia, and very, very difficult emotions linked to parenting. So that that is one thing. And then another thing is when couples come and talk about problems, and then often it is really about really how the other person doesn't live up to certain expectations often, you know, and it's always when people break up, then they seem to always talk about I must go to the drawing board, the drawing room, and then envision what my perfect partner is, what I want. I must be clear what I want so I can manifest a lover in that way or something. So okay, what am I saying? You know, from a child to relationships to you know, being heartbroken and moving on to the next step. None of them talked about connection. Nothing. And yet when I'm talking to, recently I gave, you know, I was in several seminars with parents who want to conceive, they want to start a family, and yet many of them are thinking of, you know, what kind of child I want to raise, what I want to teach, what I want to impart, what I want to create. But again, no word about that connection. You know, no word about really that joining. You know, how to get, you see, I hear a lot, how to get the partner, the man or the woman to join into one other process, how to make another person do something. Okay, the talk is always around these things, how to get them to fill a certain role. So you see, I would like you all to comment about that. Is connection a very absent thing? It's empathy, and to me empathy and connection is essential. It's like both are essential. If there's no empathy, then no connection, and vice versa, right?
There's
So
something very major on what you said, and you use the word expectation. There's no expectation in the present moment. Every expectation, it's a step forth. Like it's in the future. Expectation is something that is not happening now, and you want the other person to do or be for you. Or like you want that person to be the best version of him or herself. Seemingly like we know what's best for other people, right? I must confess, there are times I call my mom and she tell me, are you working? Are you doing this? You have to eat this or eat that and dress like this, or, you know, and I'm like, Mom, we don't talk for a long time. And I did really miss you. I'm still missing you now. And sometimes I miss people even when they're with me. What is that longing? What is that missing? And sometimes people say, hey, you know, in a very exciting way, hey, how about if one day we go, I don't know, we go travel or go to the beach or something? And I'm like, hey, we could be missing that person. We could right now be able to connect instead of projecting our expectations, right? So sometimes people come to me and say, hey, I got good grades, for example. And I'm like, I could say, oh, good job. You're supposed to get good grades and you should do better. I think since you got good grades, you'll be able to get a good job. Yeah, how about that? You should get ready for your next job or something like that. So we're not present. We're not celebrating with that person. Sometimes we have a reason to celebrate, be present to that person's happiness. But we are too efficient and too quickly to come up with a solution. But all the person is doing is sharing their feelings. So how to see that? Because many times we're so distracted and unaware. And many times we lose a chance to connect. So yeah, this is tricky. How do we put the expectations aside and how to be present, number two, and then connect.
So I actually see that there's the very important question a lot of people be asking and very thirsty for is, then how do we connect such that the other person, we are really creating universes together in this moment? How does it happen? How do people parent? How do I be a present partner? How do I be present to myself so that I can create a future that I want, for example? So how? The question is how. And also later I would like to talk about and the other thing is like, so this, is empathy enough? Okay, that's my question later.
Leslie?
So the question is like how to connect with people without expectation.
Like how
Is that
to
right?
like how to be the mother or the father. Let's say we talk about it because we were once younger, right? So or even now like our relationship with our
Totally.
parents. So it's like, how do we create that connection so that there's really a bonding and the kids don't feel so lonely, you know? It's like, why is it like more than 90% of the kids feel so lonely?
My teacher shared to me on the other day. She's like life coaching. She shared that a man who was her her work colleague, something like that. He said that one day he drove his son to the school for English class, and his son like was very stubborn. He didn't want to go to the class on that early morning. So my teacher asked him what time did he sleep, and he didn't like English, didn't he? Something like that. So the father said the son watched the soccer match with him until like 2 a.m. in the morning, and he had to woke up to English class at like before 7, something like that. So the teacher asked, my teacher asked her work colleague that if you were that son, how you feel, like you cannot wake up and like have a mood to go to English class in that early morning because you are so sleepy and English is not your favorite language, something like that. So on that morning, the father scold like complained to his son very strongly until his son cried. And I think this one is also making them more distant. So I think about myself. So because I live with my mother, and many times, right, because we are women, so now we have something that we are have some misunderstanding with each other, and I judge her instead of putting myself in her shoes. How would her feel like? So I think that in order to be a good daughter, a good sister, or a good employer, we have to be more kind and compassionate. So on the road as well, when we drive on the road and suddenly one car cut in the front to get to the line, right? In the past, I used to like say bad word or something like that. But right now, I allow them to go before me, to cut in the front of my car, because I think that they have something important they have to do. They really rush to go to work. Maybe this is the thing that they have to do. Is they are very late. If they miss the time, they will lose a lot of money or something like that. So if people are more kind to each other, I think it make the society become a better place. And when I feel that necessity, I feel that feeling, I understand them more, I feel peaceful and I feel happy. Is that answer the question? I'm not so sure.
I hear you say that you're to be connected and empathy. You mentioned kindness and compassion, and also to give people the benefit of the doubt. Okay, give
Yes.
people the benefit of the doubt. So don't project that or judge so quickly. So withhold
Yes.
judgment, right? Withhold judgment. Okay, how about Eddie? What makes for good connection? What are the criteria? What
Today I
are the
was talking
elements?
to someone dear to me about expressions. It's not really the content of what we say, but how the expression comes out. So, honestly speaking, empathy has no goal. If we're connecting to people with a goal, then I think that has every goal we could reach that goal quickly, slowly, efficiently, or not. That goal has some kind of approaches and um, strategies. But to me, expression and connection has to be really from the heart. The heart doesn't have any goals. And why I say this, because there are different ways how people talk to us. Some people are able to touch our hearts. Other people, they put so much effort, but they are not able to. For example, I don't know, there could be situations where someone, let's say, I don't know, comes to help me, I don't know, cook or move things or whatever. And then maybe for that person did with a lot of love, a lot of effort and sacrifice. But maybe I may not acknowledge that. Maybe if somebody invites me for maybe a quality time walking the beach, maybe that could be more connecting to me. Or yeah, or if I give a gift to someone and that person feels like, oh, he's been thinking about me and he remembers. Maybe that would be something more connecting to that person. So why am I talking about expressions and connection this way? Because there could be something called languages of love. Sometimes we have specific ways that resonates different with other people, you know, like maybe some people, the love language will be giving gifts and be accepted, or quality time, or maybe do something together, like, I don't know, uh, maybe if somebody drives car for me, I feel like, oh, somebody cares for me. I could feel that way. I don't know. Or, things like that. So what I would like to say is that there isn't a definite technique or approach or formula on how to connect to people. Everyone has a different love language. So how do we know what's the love language of each person? I think the first one, the almost first one, we have to learn how to listen, active listening, and be there, so present in every word, every expression, active listening, being in that space and listen without the goal or efficiently give a solution or reply. Just listen and just be present there. Sometimes people listen, and as information comes, we're generating replies. So maybe even before the person finished speaking, we're already giving a solution. And maybe that's not the best approach to connection, you know. And sometimes people just want to be listened to and be seen and have the aliveness of existence. Oh, somebody can see me and somebody cares, you know. So there are few ways of languages of love. Um, well, at least this is how I see, and this is my experience. How do you girls see the expression and approach through a more connecting way with people?
Oh, I think I agree with you. We should have like active listening to observe people. So firstly, you have to be observant to everything around you and people around you. So instead of obsessing with your thought or living in your mind, something like that, you notice people, even the slight non-verbal communication, their sign, their breathing, everything. It also can give you some hint or something that tell that they would like to communicate with you or connect with you, or even how they feel, how you feel, something like that. Because humans are social animal, right? We always know how to connect with people and communicate with people.
I agree with both of you that the expression is very important and listening is primary. It's the basis to decode, not only decode or also to be present to the other person. And also, you know, but when yeah, and I agree that each of us are very unique. We have, through our upbringing, through our experiences, we may develop certain ways where messages come across and all that. But yesterday I had a conversation with my little one, my not so little now, 15-year-old. We were talking about she said, Mom, what is your biggest wish for me? Then I said, if there's anything I wish for you is no matter what life brings to you, that you will be able to express and also see the world in the most transparent, most straight, most direct, most clear way possible, that you will be able to express the whole of who you are without perversion, without being crooked. And I hope that life will, whatever hurt that comes your way or harm that comes your way, that it will not hurt you. It will not hurt the way that you express your uniqueness to the world. So this is my wish for her. And why is this pertinent to what we talked about in language of love? I think that's, so I have been thinking about this quite a bit. It's like, we are all human beings, and there's the language of love. I only have a little bit of discomfort when people say, oh, I am this language of love, so you can only reach me there. Actually, I think that we are all of that. Maybe we have trained ourselves to be able to receive messages and expressions through our experiences in life, through our conditioning and stuff like that. I don't want to generalize, because I don't want to generalize that therefore everybody is equal. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that sometimes there are defenses that come up, or there are certain things that happen in our journey that make that expression crooked or that distorted. So we were joking because she's very talented in visual arts. So both of us look at each other at the same time and say, hey, this makes for a good theme for an art piece, because whatever that is a straight representation through the filter of our lenses, can you imagine? Then actually that's why there are artists that draw everything in distortion, because we broach and we express ourselves almost like distorted, because we cannot say it straight, because I cannot tell my parent that I am sad, because, or I cannot tell them that I'm having a difficulty. I have to put it another way. So I can only say that I have a stomach ache, then they come and pat me on the head or be with me. So this is when that indirectness comes in. When we receive experiences in life, then we cannot shine the whole of who we are in the most direct way possible. So I actually think that the work here is not is yes, we continue to love and to be gentle and with each other, because all of us come through different kinds of experiences and shaping and all that. And we continue to do that because we already know that maybe even in our hearts, there are shadows there, and that actually make us respond to life, maybe not as directly as we could be doing. But the work is for ourselves. The work for ourselves, that I talked to my daughter with, is that the work for ourselves is to keep shedding those shadows, is to keep letting those hurts slide away from us, such that they don't affect our shining, our own, the love that we can give. We don't affect that. Yeah. So our work is to keep on healing whatever perception that we have that is incorrect, or the fears that we have, and don't let life imprint us in such a way that we turn into a bonsai. If I am a huge iron tree, or a tambusu, or whatever, or rain tree, let that expression be full like that. I think that is our work with ourselves. And then when we interact with others, we know that the process is not easy, and that's where compassion and empathy come into play, because our encounter then is to me, the encounter is as simple as helping each other to be that fullest expression of ourselves. In that interaction, maybe even if there's no goal, is for me to even touch that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. There are two things you told this when you shared just now. It was quite striking to me. Number one is the fact that the kid is not genuine and he has a tummy ache. So I guess fulfillment of that need for love or affection, right? Number two, you said something that remind me of shadows, that we have our shadows too, right? Like in our hearts. So let me start with the first one. Since we're kids, especially Asian culture and male, we talk often stuff about men don't cry, boys don't cry. Well, we have to be strong, and then the need for hard, you know. Sometimes I just wish my dad
T, I
just
think the connection on your side might be muffled, so you may
Mine?
have to, yeah, and it's soft. So do you mind saying that sentence again?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes I just wish my dad hugged me. I didn't want to be strong. I wanted to have his love and acknowledgement. I don't, sometimes I just don't want to be a superhuman being. I just don't want to fulfill anyone's expectation. I want to be myself and I want to be appreciated for who I am. So I think parental expectation towards kids or even between couples, that could be, even with the best intention, that could be a lifetime of non-connecting environments because of those expectations. And number two, I want to talk about is the shadows. So this is something I learned in Thailand, because here everybody like to talk about, many people talk about being positive and not complain and not negative and the good side of things. Yeah, but when do we separate some time, look at our shadows and embrace it, you know? When do we fully accept ourselves and admit that sometimes we could be judgmental, sometimes we could be not liking something or someone, or we are ungrateful sometimes. When do we observe these things, you know? How can we fully accept someone and connect to others if we don't take our time to see all sorts of energy that we go through, everything that goes through us? So these are one of the things that I think kind of grounds us to being present. It's not only the positive sides of life or the light side or the dark side. It's not about that, but truly being present to every single feeling we are, not think the feeling and then approach in an efficient way to be more positive. It's not about that, but simply feel the feeling and not think the feeling, you know? Feel what's alive, feel what we are. Feel sad, allow us to be sad when we're sad, angry, happy, or celebrate, grateful, compassionate, everything, you know? If we're not true to ourselves, how could we truly connect to other people, you know? If we are in expectation towards another person, how could we see them? Because when we're expecting something from someone, we're not looking at us. Maybe there's a need behind the expectation that we don't have it fulfilled. So if we have expectation and we expect someone to act or be in a certain way, is there a lack in our side actually? Is there? Maybe. Do we have a need that's not being fulfilled? Are we unhappy about something? Or are we fully grateful about for everything who we are? So connect ourselves. Oh, that doesn't work very well. So connect ourselves by connecting through others. And we see ourselves because we could see mirrors of ourselves through interaction with other people, you know? And that's one aspect of reality. Leslie?
Yeah, it's very interesting the thing that you said. I think that it's about accepting who you are and respect who you are, no matter how people we have the thing that in our culture is like saving face. So we don't want to lose face in the front of other people. So we, if we want some people to like us or admire us, we just hiding the thing that we think is not good in their eyes, something like that. Actually, we should be authentic and like show our individuality, show our uniqueness to them. I think your daughter is very brave because she have an amazing mother, and she will grow up to be a very smart person and have a happy life. And I think freedom of expression is very important. So before you can have freedom of expression, you have to accept yourself. When you accept yourself, you can easily accept other people as well. So when you interact with other people, you also see yourself through that interaction. I think that many times in my life, I have fears, like my relationship with my brother is not so well. So one of the things that we rarely have with each other is like connection. We didn't spend a lot of quality time together because I live in a boarding school since I was young. So we live in different places. So we didn't like talk much, especially during the working life, right? Because we are focusing on our daily work. So I think it's a very valuable to have connection, especially with the people in your family.
Yeah.
And then in order to establish connection, one of the things is that we willing to forgive ourselves and forgive everyone in our past negative memory, something like that. So
I totally feel you when you talk about we are more connected, like beyond our understanding. We're our fundamental nature is to want that connection. I give you an example. Yesterday, 11th of March, today is 12, right? Was yesterday I dreamt in the morning. I dreamt of my sister. My sister's living in Taiwan, so and because we are so busy, I'm so busy with things. I seldom like take the initiative to talk to her, and sometimes she, in fact, we might even like meet over holidays, and sometimes we might even like siblings even squabble or quarrel. And but this year, because of COVID pandemic, she's there and we're here, and long time didn't speak a lot. But yesterday I dreamt of her, and she was in my room. She was like putting plants. I was like, hey, how come there are plants in my room? There was plants. And she was standing there. She's so beautiful and uh, shining. And I looked at her and said, I miss you. And then I gave her a big hug. And I actually felt, I can even feel the love now. The thing is that after I did that, then I woke up and I texted her. I said, hey, how are you? I'm dreamt of you. And then I said, oh, well, let's talk sometime. We exchanged a few things, and then I said, let's talk sometime. And then I went back to sleep. I woke up very early. I texted. And then later on, my brother texted in the family chat to her, happy birthday, sis. And okay, and I said, oops, I said that I forgot that it's her birthday day, but I just texted her because I dreamt of her. You see, the desire to connect and the way that we are connected in vibrations beyond our mental understanding is so deep, right? So that to me is a demonstration of how I'm connected to my siblings. the loved ones in my life, even beyond my very scattered engagement and consistency in being a human being connecting. But you know, there's a part of me that desires and informs me. So funny.
There's no coincidence. I think that's like everything is energies.
Yeah, absolutely. Eddie.
I think
I want to thank you girls for today. It's a very deep topic, and it's surely not a technique because it requires a lot of heart and honesty to ourselves. There's no formula on being present or embracing our shadows. It's a lot of work, a lot of courage, and it's a sensitive thing to connect with people because sometimes you may feel like someone is like poking our eyes. Is that sensitive? But I encourage all of us to be brave, to vulnerabilize, be vulnerable, connect, because that's our nature. We are all connected at the end of the day, beyond our impressions, our desires, beyond our expectations. Our nature is to connect. When we come to this world, we are connected to our moms through umbilical cord, amniotic fluid. It's like we're born connected. We come to this world connected. So this is our nature. Yeah. I think sometimes we try to replace connection with understanding. So sometimes people come to me, oh, I understand what you're saying. I know what you mean. You know, I get you. But sometimes that's not about understanding. Understanding is here. Connection is here in the heart. It's very different. I don't need people to understand me. I don't feel lonely because people don't understand me. I think I feel lonely because I need connection and sometimes I don't have it. It's not about understanding. I'm visible when people connect to me in a very deep and intimate way rather than being understood or so people click and have same point of view or perspectives in common or same ideas. No, it sounds like a connection, but no, we're just congruent to a line of thoughts. Religions are like that, for example. Political parties are like that, or even soccer football team is like that. But connection is in the heart. It goes beyond understanding. It's very intimate thing. So this is what I would like to share.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, you know, just go on a little bit more about the connection is following what Eddie was saying. Connection is that's the real language of love. That's the connection from one heart, enlivened heart, to another enlivened heart. And the thing is, like when couples, it's not about the husband attending prenatal class or not. It is not about how beautiful or how exactly I want my wedding to be. It is not about doing my own floral arrangements so that you just imagine this. If we live life like a bride who is preparing your own wedding, or my own wedding, and then I I want the flowers this way. So I want it exactly this way. My full focus is on arranging it this way. I want the menu exactly this way. I don't even trust the concierge to do it for me. I must make sure that it must be this way and this way and that way. And at the end of the day, you know, the whole process, where is the partner? Where's the beloved? The beloved is not to be seen. The beloved is not seen. He's not involved. He's not seen, and he's totally missing how he's feeling. And the whole process just becomes like a production show, you know. So you get okay this way, that way, all done, but what's the point of the wedding is totally missed. So
We talk about the modern day romanticism, right? That we have to give that special feeling, special preparation, and all the things we to be perfect for the wedding, and yet, like you said, where's the guy? Where are they? Where's the connection?
yeah.
And then many people, after they get married, and then they say, "Oh, there's someone living with me," and then you realize, and then the surprise sometimes comes with a deception or disappointment, because during the dating and that beauty, something was sustaining that, sustained by expectation, maybe romanticism, maybe what do you call that? Pheromone? Um, what's the love hormone? I forgot.
Oxytocin.
Oxytocin, yeah, which lasts in the human body for 2 years. So let's say you date for 1 year, maybe a little more, and then you marry. And 1 year later, suddenly oxytocin runs out, and then you wake up and you realize, oh, I'm living with someone, and she's a witch, and he's a monster, and like we wake up because where was the connection in the first place, you know? So like Leslie said, every moment is so precious. Really single moment to connect, because maybe, just maybe, people might not be there forever, you know.
Yeah.
Do we have time for I say something?
Of course, please.
Okay. I would like to give some quote from Bill Bullitt. It's like, opinion is really the lowest form of human knowledge. It requires no accountability, no understanding. The highest form of knowledge is empathy, for it requires us to suspend our egos and live in another's world. It requires profound purpose, larger than the self kind of understanding. Thank you.
Wow, amazing.
It's
To
beautiful.
live in another's world. This is so amazing, because in the COVID times, where people are not able to see new worlds, through empathy, we could be living in infinite number of worlds around us, huh?
Yes, abundance.
Yes.
So I totally look forward to talking more about this connection that is being the basis of why empathy is existing in the first place. Empathy is something like the mechanism or the process, the natural process that leads to connection. But I think connection is also more than that. So is empathy enough? Are there other elements that go in? I think we leave it for future discussions. Okay.
Really. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So thank you, both of you. I really love this time with you. And thank you for expanding and creating together.
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Eddie.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Goodbye, audience.